What's going on, POSim? It's No Name 4505 here, bringing you guys round 2 battle from the PO YouTube tournament, and this is for the round 2 of the whatchamacallit, PO YouTube Narration Competition. And this match is Game 1 between Finchinator and Afro. And looking at Finchinator's team in the right hand corner, we have Mistravis, Escavalier, The Legend, Almamola, Camerupt, and Drapion. And Afro's team, which you can't see because this is from Finchinator's perspective, is Mesprit, Polyrath, Mismagius, Skuntank, Raichu, and Hawlucha. So Finchinator does have a bit of the advantage just from team preview with as Escavalier because it checks a lot of Afro's team. But Afro does have a good answer to it in Polyrath as well as the potential burn from Mismagius. But Finchinator could have the Rest Talk or like a Rest of Chesto set to be immune to that, so he might not have to worry about that, but if he's not, then that might be a potential concern for him. Or a potential fire move from the Skuntank, although that set is very rare. A Skuntank that runs a fire type move. So let's just hop right into things here. So Finch is, hold on, let me just skip ahead. So Finch does lead with his Escavalier because that matches up very well against his team, while Afro just leads with his Hawlucha, and Hawlucha's just going to U-turn to get out of there, scout what Finchinator's going to do, and Finch is just going to go right for the Mega Horn to see if Afro is just going to go out to his Polyrath, which he does, and now Finch can just go out to his safe Polyrath counter, which is his Almamola, as Afro's just going to go for the Scald on the Almamola, or he was just going to go for it on the Escavalier, but he's just going to stay in and go for it on the Almamola, trying to fish for the burn to get some residual, because very few Almamola do carry Heal Bell, and since we see the Toxic from Finchinator, that almost confirms that it doesn't have the Heal Bell. So now Finch is just going to go back to his Escavalier, as Afro goes to his Raichu to try and deal with the Almamola, and now as Afro goes back to his Polyrath, Finch is going to go out to his Camerupt to deal with the Raichu, but Afro predicts that and goes to his Polyrath. But because Polyrath deals well with Escavalier, that was also just a good play in general. So that really wasn't the best play for Finch, but at this point it's early in the game and Finch can afford to play safe, especially since he has the Almamola to really deal with the Polyrath. And the Polyrath is on a timer with the Toxic, which will force it to rest up earlier if it does have the rest. And if it doesn't have the rest, then that Polyrath is crippled, pretty much. So, after going for some Scalds a few more times, Afro does get the Skull Burn, but Finch does have the Wish with his Almamola, and Burn really doesn't concern him too much because he has the Wish and the Regenerator. So, now he's just going to go out to his Mistravis, as the Polyrath does reveal that it is a Rest Talking set. Unfortunately, Finch's Wish was pretty much useless, but it doesn't really matter. And the next turn, I believe that, the Mistravis is just going to go for the T-Bolt, as Afro goes out to his Mismagius, because it's very unlikely that the Mistravis is going to go for the Shadow Ball. And because we see the Thunderbolt is actually revealed that it's not a defensive Mistravis, it's actually an offensive Mistravis. And Finch decides to stay in here, so he can go out to the Drapion, because Drapion does deal with the Mismagius very well. That can potentially Pursuit Trap it, or go for a Stab Dark move. But Finch predicts the switch and goes for the Sword Dance, but this actually ends up backfiring on him because this does nearly half. But because of the special defense drop, Finch can't stay in because then his Drapion will get KO'd. So he just goes back to his Escavalier, and Afro either predicts that and goes to the Polyrath, or just made the safe play because once again Polyrath deals with the Drapion very well, because it can resist the Dark move. So now we've gotten to a point in the match where these two are just going to sit here and use their Rest Talk shenanigans. I don't know if we've seen the rest from the Escavalier yet. Yep, there it is right there. But the Escavalier does have the rest. So these two are just going to sit here and they're going to Scald, Iron Head, Mega Horn, whatever. And we do get the Circle Throw there, but that doesn't really matter because it's out to the Drapion, which obviously can't deal with it too well, and the only thing that Finch feels comfortable with switching in is the Escavalier. So yeah, these two really are just going to sit here, so I'll just speed this up because, yeah. Alright, So we have Halucha on his Cavalier. You see the high jump kick and Finch's Mega Horn misses, but it doesn't matter. And then the Hacks follows right up with Halucha, missing the high jump kick on the Alamomola. So now because of that, the Halucha just has to go for the U-turn, as the Alamomola is just going to throw up a wish, trying to pass that to the Drapion, because the Drapion, after eating up the Shadow Ball, is going to be at full HP. So now it can set up a Sword Dance or do something else, and we see the knockoff as Finch's choice of Dark Stab to prevent the Poliwrath from getting passive recovery every turn. Now Afro's just going to go right for the Circle Throw, either trying to scout the switch, which the obvious switch is the Alamomola, or just get some damage on the Drapion. It was his best play. And now that does give Finch's Escavalier the chance to rest up. So again, we're at a stolid point in the match where Afro's Poliwrath is just going to sit here and be fat because it deals well with Finch's team. But the Alamomola is going to prompt him out into the Halucha, which I'm not really sure I understand. I guess he just wanted to conserve PP for a potential PP stall war. And so Finch just goes for the Toxic, trying to put the Poliwrath on a timer, but he misses on the Halucha. And we just get U-turn, Finch throws up a wish, and then he can just go out to Cameron because that is his Raichu counter. And all Finch is just going to do is set up his Stealth Rock here, and Afro the next turn is more than likely going to just set up the rocks on his own, which it looks like he does. So now Finch has the Drapion, which deals well with the Mesprit, but you know, Afro obviously has the Poliwrath. So now Finch is going to start making the aggressive plays here and go out to the Legend to put a lot of pressure on the Poliwrath. So now Afro is going to reveal that he has a Skuntank, which we already knew because this is 6th gen, so there's team preview. But up there in the little left-hand corner, we didn't see it. So Finch is just going to put that Skuntank to sleep, which is really good for him. And now he's just going to go out to his Camrock because it can deal with the Skuntank very well. But of course, Afro does have the Poliwrath, so that could be a potential problem. But Finch just goes for the Earth Power, and that actually does a reasonable amount, 33%. So now Finch is just going to do is just keep playing it safe because he has no reason to play aggressive here. And we're just going to sit here and stall it out. So I'll just speed it up a little bit again. Alright, so we had a little bit more rest talking action there. And now we have Camera up on Poliwrath. Finch is obviously going to have to switch out as Afro goes to the Mismagius to try and put a lot of pressure on the Alamomola, since nearly all Alamomolas are physically defensive. But Finch, he has his Escavalier still, and he also has his Camera up, which he probably won't send in. So he actually does send in his Camera up. I guess the T-Bolt, because it's a neutral hit and this thing looks like Specs, might do a lot of damage. That's probably why. He probably thought it was choice. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, Finch is going to end up going for the Roar because the Poliwrath switch is very obvious. Rack up a little bit of Stealth Rock damage. And he goes out to the Raichu, which is obviously really bad. And now he can just stay in and just go for an Earth Power, but he actually goes for the Lava Plume. I guess predicting the switch out to a Mismagius, or just whatever. And he actually ends up getting the burn on the Mismagius, which is very good for Finch because he can wear down that Mesprit even more. And Mesprit really can't do anything to kill up, so he's just going to go right for the safe Roar in case the Poliwrath decides to come back in. And he's just going to go for the Lava Plume again to hit any one of Afro's 3 ground immune Pokemon. So now we obviously have Poliwrath on Alamomola, which is a matchup that we see very often. We see Afro go for the Sleep Talk here, which I guess he lost count of sleep turns, so that kind of makes sense. So now we have once again this matchup here of Escavalier on Poliwrath. We see that a lot. But Finch is just going to leave it in here and gets lucky with what he gets out, which is the Lilligant. Oh my lord. So, yeah, we do have the Finch, the Lilligant on the Poliwrath. That's obviously going to prompt Afro out into a Skuntank. I think Finch just goes for the Giga Drain here. That's his most logical play because the only poke that Afro has to really reliably switch into the Lilligant is the Sleep. So now Finch is just going to go right out to the Drapion to potentially set up a Sword Dance or something, because Afro's Poliwrath is getting low, potentially to the point where a +2 poison jab or whatever poison move Drapion carries. Can take out the Poliwrath because most of them are specially invested, which he is. So now Finch is finally broken through that Poliwrath, which means he can pretty much win at this point. So we have the Hawlucha. That actually gets a crit there, which means that this Drapion sweep is pretty much over because it's at such low health. And Drapion really isn't that fast if I recall. But it's alright though because Finch still has his Escavalier to deal with the rest of Afro Smash's team. So let's just skip ahead to the next play here. And yeah, Afro is just going to send out the Raichu. Finch is probably just going to leave this in here as death fodder, even though he could switch out to the Camerupt, but with a Drapion at this low health, there's no real reason to keep it around here. And yeah, he just goes for the hidden power here. We don't know if that's grass or ice, but it really doesn't matter, because either way it would do neutral to the Camerupt. And I imagine Finch would just go right for the Lava Plume here. And Afro's going to go for the grass, not just to get as much damage as he can before his Raichu goes down. And he gets another crit on there, which is also unfortunate. But like I said, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Because I don't think that Afro Skuntank carries the fire move. And Escavalier can deal with Afro's remaining team very well. So this game is pretty much in Finch's bag, but if Afro channels Shake It Up, Look It Up, then he might be able to pull this one back with a few untimely crits. So Finch is just going to play it safe, doesn't want any untimely crits, and Death Fodder's his Camerupt because, again, he also really doesn't need it. So, yeah, there's a lot of chatting going on in between this turn. And now Finch is just going to send out his Escavalier. And this Shadow Ball is a 2 KO, more than likely. And yeah, that nearly KOs. And as long as Finch Sleep Talks an attacking move, then that's all good. And he does Sleep Talk the Mega Horn, which does KO the Mismagius. So he's pretty much got this one in the bag here. I think he can just rest up on the Skuntank, although it's only been in for one turn though. I think it's only burned off one of its sleep turns, so I think it's fine. Also, apparently that damage roll that Afro got on the Escavalier was max damage, but it didn't matter because it was a 2 KO regardless, as long as Afro didn't crit. So Afro's Skuntank is actually going to wake up here and take out the Escavalier, but he does have the Alomomola, which pretty much deals with everything. And this Alomomola is going to go for a really weak waterfall, only does 9%. But at this point, it really doesn't matter, because all Alomomola has to do is just sit here and be fat, and this Mesprit will just die. And I'm pretty sure Lilligant outspeeds Skuntank naturally, and Lilligant can win one-on-one. So let me just speed up the end here, because, yeah, it is over. All Finch has to do is just whittle down this Mesprit. And he's actually going to make a pretty good play here and throw up a Wish, because I think his Lilligant is around half, no, it's a little bit higher, but he's just going to throw up a Wish because he knows that his Alomomola is not going to do anything. So basically all that does is just make his Lilligant a little bit higher, but it doesn't matter because now Finch can win 1-0 because he can outspeed and take out the Skuntank with an HP Rock. So I hope you enjoyed my narration, even though it probably wasn't that good, but whatever. I hope you enjoyed this match. It was a pretty good one. If you want to check out my channel, that's youtube.com/noname4505, and I think Finch's channel is called Josephin or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I think he said something about another match in this series going up, so if you watch that, then that would be awesome. And even though Finch won this game 1-0, Afro did win the series 2-1, so good luck Afro, and Finch, you tried. Lol. And anyways, peace out guys.